So welcome everyone. Today, sitting at this table, we've got over $18 million in trading profits. I'm at the head of the table, of course. We've got Chris, resident short seller, Manoli, Hamang, Danny, Max, and Jess. And the topic of this episode is I want to hear what your secret weapons are. I want to hear how you did it, how you made it happen. So let's go ahead and jump in. Where should we start? Danny, Chris, who wants to get started? This is going to be, you know what, your secret weapon, and give me your golden rule for trading. What is the golden rule that keeps that account growing and keeps you from blowing up your account? Let's start with Chris.
All right. Thanks, Ross. So I think, you know, my secret weapon would be sticking to one strategy. You know, that's really where I found consistency, which is kind of a no-brainer. But as a newer trader, and, you know, my first day trading experience goes back to 2010. And I didn't have the education I got with Warrior. I didn't have the tools. I just didn't have the access to the amazing day trading education I've gotten here. So as soon as I would take a loss or have a losing day, I'd be like, oh, this strategy doesn't work. You know, like I need a different indicator, or I need to watch a different YouTube channel, or, you know, I'd constantly abandon what I was working on for the next new thing. So when I started up again, at the beginning of this year, I knew that was something I wanted to change. So I spent a lot of time honing in and focusing on what I want my strategy to be. And then once I make that decision, sticking with it. So ultimately, you know, the first question was, well, what type of stocks do I want to trade? So I settled on small caps. Then, you know, my long bias and my short bias, I decided that I saw more edge to the short side. And then what type of setups am I looking for? And then I decided on extensions, you know, stocks that were having momentum, and looking for a mean reversion play back to just the trend line, which is the 13 EMA for me. So once I settled on all of these parameters, it just became about optimizing, right? So when I had a good day or a bad day, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Why didn't it work today? And, you know, was it because I didn't follow my rules? I didn't follow my strategy? What did I do differently? And now that I had such a specific trading plan, it was a lot easier for me to see the variables involved, what was working, what wasn't working, you know, because when I had 100 different things going on, it was really difficult to kind of pinpoint what I was doing and what I was doing right or wrong. So when I really got focused and I decided this, you know, I'm going to stick with this, I'm just going to get really good at this, and it's even just one setup, that's when things really changed for me and I found consistency. So, you know, I definitely call that my secret weapon, just sticking with one strategy. Yep.
Okay. And I guess in a way it's a bit of a golden rule, just to stick with what you know works, even during the downside. Because I mean, the thing is, with any strategy, even the best strategies allocate usually 30% of the time to be wrong. Yours is a little higher, but profit loss ratio makes, you know, in any case, that's very interesting. Okay. Jess, let me hear from you. We'll sort of jump around here today. So what is your golden rule or secret weapon? And these are kind of two different questions, but
yeah, they are kind of, well, golden rule and secret weapon, they kind of go hand in hand if you think about it, you know, because one keeps you safe and your secret weapon, you know, really excels you in what you're doing. But my golden rule is not having too many rules. I don't like lots of rules because it keeps me very apt to trading anything that's moving, anything that's trending, any type of stock. You know, I found that when I have too many rules, I would avoid, you know, avoid this stock, avoid that float, avoid that price, avoid, you know, a dip, and it would keep me out of a lot of really nice trades. You know, other than that, my go-to and what I really like is I like to put on my jetpack. Yeah. And I you know, I like to ride those stocks going straight up
to the moon.
Those are my stocks.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I
so
like.
You're looking for rate of change. I mean,
yes, I like.
If it's not moving, you're not buying.
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Anything, even if it has a high flow, if something is showing me high rate of change, it's showing me that I have range within that stock to make money. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's technicals within that actual pattern for that stock. Yeah.
Okay. Hamang, what do you say?
So for me, My golden rule is to decrease the amount of red days that I have. I think, and the way I do that is with my secret weapon, which is to study the markets. Ever since I, became profitable, I think that the reason why I'm profitable is because of my golden rule. I try not to have as many red days as possible. I become really, really serious. I become so serious that, hey, not like, if I'm down like $200 or $300, I count that as a break even, and at this point for me, like if I'm down $1,000, I'm still going to be like, okay, this is okay. I can take it. This is okay. But if I start getting in the range of like -$4,000 or $5,000 or like $10,000, then my strategy is to really just, back off, really tighten it up, and then really tighten up my risk parameters and find out what is the reason. Why is it not working? Is it the market? Is it the way that I'm trading? Is everything okay emotionally? Is everything okay in my personal life? What's the problem? And I would say when it comes to the market, that's where my secret weapon comes in. When I first started trading, I used to, trade. I do trade a lot like Ross. So I started off that way, but now I basically trade in a way that I focus on the market and I find opportunities where I can decrease, where I feel like I get the conviction I can decrease my risk as low as possible. So, being that my secret weapon, it really kind of helps me, whatever helps me to like decrease my red days. That's my go-to at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's good. That approach of trying to keep the red days as small as possible and as few and as far between, that is a survival technique. Because red days happen, but even for a big trader, if you have 4, 5, 10 big red days in a row, you can lose 30% of your account, 50%, you could lose more very quickly. So I think one of the biggest struggles that a lot of beginner traders have, and that I certainly have had over the years, is when I start going red, how do I have the presence of mind to stop and cut it at -3 grand before I roll to -8, 12, 16, 20, 25, 30, and it just gets bigger in balloons. So and some people are naturally better at this than others. So you may not have a specific skill or strategy to use, but is there something that you're doing that's helping you in real time, like a red flag, be like, hey, it's time to get up and walk away?
I would say it comes in waves.
Yeah.
Some days I'm really, up to it. I'm like, okay, I'm down -3,000 and, the market is not anywhere near where I can make the money back up and then, become green. Some days I'm really good. And some days I wake up, and those could be days where I'm, on my routine, I come in and I just, for some reason, I just keep digging deeper and deeper. And from as far as I can remember, the reason why those things happen is because there was something off in my routine, as in like there was something off on analyzing either that's my morning checklist or is my risk routine. So there's always something that I can, at least in the past, I was able to pinpoint down to like, okay, this is what it is. And I think that kind of helps me, like going down. I know not to be like so toxic that you're always just, putting yourself down, but, at least find something, don't sulk about it too much, but find something and next day make it a point to, work on it. And I think slowly and surely you will make it through.
Nice. I like it. Manoli, what is your secret weapon? What are your golden rules that keep you building that account?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm closer to Jess on this one. I don't really have a golden rule. I kind of just, as far as like a secret weapon, I pretty much just trade the theme. So I'm bouncing around and I'm not trying to put too many rules or restrictions on myself because I just want to capitalize on what's ever moving. Now, I do like to think about like the psychology of it a lot. So I try my best to stay ahead of what other traders might be thinking or where they might be headed. So that just kind of comes hand in hand with the theme trading though. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but if I notice, like you guys have heard me talk the last week or two, if I notice that pennies are running or something's running, reverse splits, whatever it is, I'm going to be looking for those next plays. I'm going to be looking for the sleepers, looking for them, and I might get in early, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm just a theme trader. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So focusing on the theme, what's hot right now?
Mm-hmm.
Trading front side of those moves.
Right.
Okay. Shorting the backside or no?
No.
Just front side.
Yeah, I tried shorting, but then
Yeah.
for me, I feel like that took away from my conviction when I was trying to trade, because then I was 50-50. I was like always looking for a short and a long, and then I just get chopped up. So I just stick to the long side for the most part.
Got it. Okay. Max, what about you?
Yes, I'd say more similar to Hemang in this sense, in that, every one of us are going to have losses, but it's a matter of how you respond to it, though, and bouncing back from it. So for me, I like to think of it in multiple ways, or do multiple things to come back from a loss. For example, sometimes I'll think of it as, each loss is one step closer to a success, and I'll use that to kind of better myself and learn what I did wrong and learn from it. Or I'll just take myself out of the market and try and do my best to not look at the charts as best I can. Sometimes that can be pretty challenging to do, but I'd say that, each loss, though, I'll try and learn from and do better about. Like right now, I've had a lot more losses recently in this market, but I'm learning and figuring out what's working for me and kind of doing the stuff that isn't working and kind of filtering that out so that I don't do that.
Yeah. 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 No, that makes sense. I mean, the thing with losses, obviously they happen. It's a lot easier to brush a loss under the carpet and kind of like walk away from it when it's smaller, right? So the better you can get at just cutting it quick before it snowballs is makes the emotions so much, it's just so much lighter, so much easier. It's easier to rebound. It's easier to rally back. All right, Danny, what about you?
Yeah, I would say I agree with all these guys. Really good points brought up. For me in particular, I would say probably patience and persistence have been my two key traits that have kept me alive and kept me going. Especially in the tougher markets, it's just so key to keep yourself afloat and learn from the mistakes that you're making, try to make them less, and just try to get better at what you are good at. To Chris's point that he made about honing in on one specific strategy, I think that's a huge point. And when I was learning and really didn't know anything, I was looking at all kinds of different indicators and like take the trade when the 13 EMA crosses the 20 and all kinds of stuff like that. But you do learn to get in tune with the market and how price action moves, and just focusing on one specific setup or one specific play and trying to cut out the rest of the stuff that's not working. That's been kind of key for me.
Well, one of the things that we talked about earlier a little bit were the aha moments. And so for me, one of the ones, and this rang true with someone else, one of the moments for me was after a big red day, and this was way earlier in my career, big red day, account was below PDT, so I couldn't trade the next day. And so since I couldn't trade, I looked through my metrics. And what I noticed in my metrics was that I had a very narrow band of what was working. So I sorted my trades from biggest winner to biggest loser. And I was like, okay, if in this last 30 days, I had only taken those 10 winners, obviously I'd be up like 30 grand. This would have been a terrific month. Instead, I'm sitting here, red, whatever it was, 5 grand or something. So I looked at those trades and I was like, what do they have in common? And I also looked at the biggest losers and I asked what they had in common. And by doing that, I was able to essentially within all of these trades find that there was a sort of sub strategy to my sort of haphazard day trading strategy of trying a little bit of a lot of things. There was a sub strategy that actually was profitable, but it was buried under so many other trades and so much jumping around that I didn't even really know it was there. Moving forward, I said, okay, I am only going to trade these types of stocks. It was a certain price range, a certain float, generally pre-market gapper, generally with news, but also sometimes there was another catalyst that was just making it squeeze up. In other words, I was only going to trade the stocks like Jess that were moving up quickly. And that meant for the following weeks, I was only trading like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but I started trading with bigger size on each one of those trades. I thought, let's see if it makes up for it. And it did. And that was my turning point. So like my aha moment in a way was simplifying my strategy, was simplifying my trading way down. And I think that's something that a lot of traders get into is this jumping ship. Oh shoot, small caps aren't working today, I'm going to go trade penny stocks. And now themes are okay, but like small caps aren't working, I'm going to start trading options. They start doing something totally different. They go way outside their comfort zone, and then they get into this position where they're really trading from a point of desperation. Everywhere they look, they're just desperate. And now the losses are stacking up, the stress is getting higher, and the pressure's only increasing. And these are the traders that start to just spin out and they disappear. Now, many of us probably could have had that exact thing happen to us, but at some point, whether it was the response from a big loss, the way it was for me, you know, it was blowing up an account and being like, okay, I've got to press the reset button and take this seriously. Whatever it was enough to get you dialed in to focus on one strategy, because survival in the market, I mean, just to begin with, it's keeping your head above water, and you're going to do that through one strategy, one go-to strategy. And then you start to add strategies 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on that note, let's real quick go around the table and just call out your favorite strategy setup. Mine probably would be a super small cap, low float Momo stock, right at 8:30, 9 a.m., has news. The news is like, you know, maybe an investment from Amazon or something like that. Something big, something really solid. Could be a pharmaceutical company. And the stock immediately squeezes up on an algo spike, like 50%. It does a micro pullback, and then it keeps going. And I'm in both on the algo spike at $half, whole dollars, and buying the micro pullbacks, and I make like 100 grand in one day. That's my favorite setup. Okay.
I like that.
Jess, let me hear your favorite setup.
My favorite setup is kind of the same thing. It doesn't have to be time related. I like to see something where everyone gets trapped. Everyone is caught off guard. Algos, you know, traders, short sellers, squeezing, you know, straight up halt. Does a huge flush, and that flush gets bought up immediately to kind of give that wick reclaim pattern.
Yes.
And what that shows me is that that extreme momentum right in that moment in time was just a minor part of what's coming. So it shows me that there's going to be, you know, much more out of that stock.
Cool. I like it.
Oh yeah, and I make 200 grand.
200 grand.
So it'll be
in one
100
trade.
grand.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Max, what's yours?
You know, you kind of made fun of me for this one yesterday, Ross, but I have a very visual setup going on. Around all-time highs, I like an ABCD pattern in between the C and the D with a bottoming tail. Just
It
like
is very
Jess.
specific.
It's very specific, but I got it right in my mind. I know
No, but
exactly what it is.
that's I mean, that's like the whole thing. You visualize it, you know exactly what you're looking for. And that's why it's so good to print out charts of your favorite setups on your desk. So when you start seeing it forming, that gives you that extra conviction to press the buy button. Danny, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Jess. Halt up multiple times.
Awesome.
Flush. False halt.
Buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
Oh yeah.
Just
Epic.
to the moon.
Love
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Nothing feels better.
Yeah. I remember that 10-point false halt down and then halt up on ACY. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
incredible. 10 points.
It's the best feeling.
It is a great feeling. Chris, what about you?
I'd say my favorite setup is probably building a short position on a grinding up stock to about 30,000 shares.
Yeah.
And then an offering.
Secondary offering. Yeah.
And it immediately halts down
Yeah.
and never looks back.
Yeah.
The one you missed today.
Yeah. The funny thing about
The one
that
that got
is,
away.
Chris had a 28,000 share short position on that exact same setup today. He covered it for a loss, 5 grand. Not 2 minutes later, $10 million secondary offering. Stock drops like 30%. It happens. You had the right idea. Manoli, what's your absolute favorite setup?
Yeah, my absolute favorite. So I haven't gotten to trade this one in a while. It's going to be a washout long after
Yes.
a parabolic move that
Oh,
was
yeah.
catalyst driven. So I think the most recent one we had was it DWAC.
Yeah, it might have been. There were some huge washout longs on that.
Love that.
Yep.
You know, you get the 1,000% move, and then you get the halt down that drops 50-60%, and then you just get to size into it because it has tons of liquidity.
Yep.
And then it has so much range that you can make 50-100% like that.
And a lot of times they halt going back up.
And they can halt going back up.
times,
That, and I'm throwing another one in there. It's sympathies.
Sympathy.
I love sympathies.
Honestly, me too. Those are so there's some
Love 'em.
of my favorites because sometimes I miss the initial one. It gets too expensive, and I'm like, I can't trade it up here. And then you see the sympathy that's so similar. Boom, those ones are hot.
A lot of times that's also cleaner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, what about you?
I would say my favorite setup is, it starts off as your regular, obviously bullish, trending up high. It could be like a bull flag, ABCD, and then it's going up a little high, almost to a point where it looks like, okay, it's too extended now, and the shorts start coming in. I like it when all those shorts, it looks like it's almost getting bearish, but all of a sudden it just changes and boom, it just goes up and halts. And then from there, I love it. Well, I love it the way that Danny and Jess put it. I just want to see them keep halting.
Yeah.
One after the other.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a pretty fun episode, and we've got some more coming real soon. So stay tuned for the next one.
If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content. Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.